All right, I'd like to call the February Chino Valley Unified School District Board meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. If you would, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda item 4 is adoption of our agenda. If we could have a motion to adopt tonight's agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Call to the public. We do have individuals that wish to speak. According to the Arizona Revised Statute 38-431-01, the following will be the process for our call to the public. Any individual wishing to address the board will complete a form. We'll keep it to a 3-minute maximum, and personal attacks upon the board members, staff personnel, or other persons in attendance or absent by individuals who address the board are discouraged. And to keep the meeting going in a productive and timely manner, dialogue and discussion between the speaker and the board will be discouraged. The first one was Ms. D'Angelo.
Good afternoon. I'm Yvette D'Angelo, and I am the lead counselor at Chino Valley High School. And I wanted to address the board today. First, I did send out an email to all of you individually, and hopefully you got a chance to read it. I am here because I want to discuss our students, the high school. First, I'd like to recap a little bit about what I wrote to you, and that is the apathy. We have just a great deal of apathy amongst our students, and that has me personally, as a high school counselor, very concerned. And so what does this mean in terms of school? We have 678 students right now, and out of the 678, 429 are failing at least one core class. This is from Thursday, it's progress report 3. That is very concerning to me, especially because I'm in charge of some of their academics as far as credits go. And what I mean by core class, I mean English, math, science, social studies. Last semester, we had 179 students fail at least one core class. That's a semester grade at this point. The 9th graders, 16% of the students failed at least one core class. 10th graders, 35% of the students failed at least one core class. Juniors, 32% of the students failed at least one core class. And then our seniors is 22% of the students failed at least one core class. I have spoken with many of the teachers on campus, just kind of randomly, part of my job, just to go around, and ask them about the kids showing up to their Google Classroom. And I had one teacher say 5 students. And when she said 5, I'm thinking, oh, 5 per period. No, she meant 5 a day. That is a core class. I don't want to mention the teacher's name, but if you want to know, I can tell you privately. The other teachers that I've asked, they say less than half of the students are showing up to their Google Classroom. So attendance is pretty bad. I have the stats on that, but it was just too much math to do. But just know that the attendance is pretty bad. Also, it's been almost a year since students have been at school. March, I think it was right after spring break, is when we went all online. They did attend a little bit in the fall, but not very much. So most of these students have been home. The students are just not engaged. I'm in charge of student council, as some of you know. These are really high energy kids. They're the highest energy kids you can have. When we came back after January 4th and we're doing a Zoom, it breaks my heart. They're not engaged. It almost feels like they don't care. And these are wonderful kids. All the kids are wonderful. But these set of kids, you know, they're the go-getters. The students that are in Honors Academy, the ones that get the straight A's, the ones that are college bound, are failing dual enrollment courses. I spent today calling Yavapai College, the advisor, just to call the kids to help me out. These are students that are normally straight A students are starting to fail college level courses that has a long-term effect. They're failing their honors classes. We're having to send letters to students to say, you might not be in Honors Academy next year. I have students that would rather go to work than do schoolwork. I have students that I can't even get a hold of. I don't know where they are. Who knows? They could be anywhere. I don't know. We cannot get a hold of them. They turn out to be a 10-day withdrawal. Students are leaving our campus, meaning CVHS, to attend full-time online school like Primavera. I used to advise kids not to do that because they would come back to us with less credits than when they left. Well, or not more credits than when they left. So now they're going, and they're not going to change. They're still going to come back to us and not have any credits. So it's not a better deal. My personal belief is hybrid is not the answer. And online is not the answer. We need our students back on campus. It is so important to get them back because of the apathy. The apathy is there. I'm seeing it every day. I am talking to parents. I am talking to students. And it's not good. It makes me sad. Students, like all people, like all of us, need structure. And they're losing that structure. They're not getting it. It's not happening at home. Parents are having to go to work. They can't do it. We're losing them. They don't have the life experience to make good choices right now. They make some. It's not that they're all bad or anything. It's just they don't have the life experience. I truly urge you to bring them back full-time. To be hybrid for 2 or 3 weeks till after spring break, because that's what I'm guessing by the numbers for COVID, is just prolonging the inevitable for them. As I sent the letter to all of you this morning, apathy is my biggest fear. Suicide rate is high among this group. I know COVID is bad. I used to be a microbiologist in my other lifetime, so I understand the science. But the psychological effects are great. And I would just hate to lose somebody for something else. So I am coming to you as a high school counselor, and I'm advocating for these kids and all the teachers, everybody, the staff. Everybody loves these kids. You guys love these kids. But I urge you to bring them back full time. We are losing them. And the long-term effect is, to me, greater than COVID, because COVID's going to end. It's going to end, but the long-term effects are going to have a longer path. It's going to take a lot more time. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like we have another completed. Thank you. Joni, your turn. Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
So I'm back again. I've been here since July. And I'm just at the point where it's like, you guys don't care. I just don't think you guys care. You've let the kids come back in almost a year for 6 weeks. We parents on the outside have seen the effects of what is happening to our kids. And you guys do not listen to us. You did one time. You let us up for 6 whole weeks. You base all your decisions off of fear, not science. And while we all sit here, all the businesses are open so our kids can go get jobs. They've been open for a long time. We don't have a president and haven't had a president that's telling our schools to shut down. We certainly don't have a governor that has told our schools to shut down. What we have is a few people in power that get information, but you have to use some common sense at some point. You guys have let this happen for a year. I've been coming here since July. I'm so mad. I don't blame these kids for going somewhere else. You guys have given them no hope. All because of what? He could make some money? I don't get it. You guys have not been watching the science. You have not been listening to the parents. What is it going to take now? Now we have the COVID shots. Maybe we can wait 6 weeks and see if they work. What's it going to take? Nobody here has listened to the actual science of what's been happening. Back in July, I told you guys this is a bad idea. I've been looking at all these studies and all this stuff that's going to happen to these kids. I was laughed right out of here as being angry and hostile. So then I came back and tried to be nice. And I've come back every single time trying to get you guys to listen. We can go across the street and have a drink, but our kids can't get educated in this town. What are you guys doing? Whatever you guys have done, let me tell you this. It's already been done. You guys have caused so much damage. These kids are quitting school, they're moving, they're going to just getting their GEDs, whatever they have to do, because you guys have given them no hope. You need to open our schools. What is it going to take, you guys? What's it going to take? A bunch of parents come back in and beg you, please? That these problems didn't go away for these parents. They never got their jobs back. Some of them are homeless. The one thing these kids had was to come to this high school every day and see their friends and see their mentors. And you guys shut them down out of fear. Every decision that you have made has been completely out of fear. Not logic. You are the governing board for this school, and for almost a year you've kept it shut down. And there's lots of damage that's going to happen to these kids, just not now, but to come. If you guys don't get it together, it's not that they all have terrible home lives. We don't know, do we? We don't know how bad their home lives are. At least they had school to come to. But nobody has listened to the science. You guys haven't listened to the science. You haven't listened to the parents. You haven't listened to teachers have come in here. Some don't want you to go out of school. Sure, hell, I wouldn't want to go to school if I got paid and didn't have to do much anyway.
Joni, I apologize. Your 3 minutes is up. Thank you, though.
Okay, but I hope you guys make the right decision finally.
Catherine Andrews. Hi.
Hi again. I'm back here again. My name's Kathy Andrews, and I am the mother of a 4th grader at Del Rio. I was here for the last board meeting to ask you again to please open the schools back up full-time. Send these kids back to school. All of them, full-time. Some interesting statistics that I looked up today with the most recent percentages. According to the Chino Valley Unified School District dashboard, the district has 2,242 students and 117 teachers, total of 22,359 altogether. Altogether, in the cumulative statistics, it shows there have been a total of 14 cases. That comes to a 0.0059% positivity rate. Humboldt Unified School District has 5,800 students and 800 staff. They have 160 resolved cases and 3 active. Their positivity percentage is 0.024%, and they're in school full-time. The Prescott Unified School District has a total of 3,586 staff and students. They have had a total of 83 resolved cases and 3 active cases, for a total positivity percentage of 0.023%. I would love to have the board please explain how these numbers can create a situation where the children cannot be in school. As the previous speaker said, you can go anywhere. You can go out to dinner, you can go get a drink, you can go shopping. But the kids can't go to school. The kids are failing. And it's gotta stop. They have to go back to school. I don't know what else to say. Along with a lot of other parents in this community, we're frustrated and we're at our wits' end because we see our kids just struggling and wilting. Thank you.
Thank you. Leanne? Leanne?
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Thank you.
So I couldn't get my printer to work, so I'm gonna read off my phone. So my name's Leanne Garden. I have 3 kids in Chino Valley Unified, kindergarten, 2nd, and 8th grade. I was raised by an educator for 46 years. I watched her put her heart and soul into her classrooms and her students. I have so much empathy for our educators, which is why I personally put so much effort into giving back to our schools and our community, whether it be time, supplies, or monetarily. I've been on the fence myself, about pulling my 3 boys from the district. Seeing my children struggle on Google Classroom is heartbreaking. If the district chooses not to go back to in-person school, my question would be, are you guys ready to lose a lot of students? Because I know personally 30 children that were pulled throughout this past year. I know another 60 parents, because we all talk, who are kind of like me. We're in limbo. We're on that fence of, what do we do? At what point do we say we need a better curriculum for online education, but they really do need to be in school? There we go, sorry. So my other concern is the CDC came out and said last week that there's no reason for the kids to not be in school full time, and the teachers do not need to be vaccinated supposedly to stay safe. If that's the case, why can't we go back full time? Why is it that Humboldt Unified is back full-time? The charter schools are back full-time. For the kids itself, seeing how it's affected them, their grades, let's be realistic. Teachers teach better in the classroom. Students learn better in the classroom. Sorry. When are we gonna say enough is enough for these kids? You know, all I can say is this past year has been nothing but a disservice to the kids, their well-being mentally, not so much what you can do for as a parent, but socially as well as educational. So my concern mostly is the little ones did go back, okay? Territorial does a phenomenal job trying to get, you know, the kids to still have normal activities, get their grades where they need to be, their extra things, but for a kindergartner, it is so hard to teach a kindergartner how to write properly, you know, how to enunciate correctly. All the little things that they learn in their reading groups, you know, with Ms. Foster, or just hands-on in the classroom. I do plenty of extracurricular activities with my kids, but some of these kids, school is a safe haven, you know? So I worry about my own kids, but I also worry about the whole community. I hope you guys take that into consideration, and I hope you guys can find out a solution to get them in back full-time school. Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you.
Melissa?
Hi,
Hi.
my name's Melissa. It's my son Evan. He's in 8th grade at Heritage. First thing I want to say is when I was watching this outside, I see like the Cougar Pride stuff, and I think about Chino Valley, strong, and that's far from the case now. These kids are not proud to be in school anymore. I'm not proud to say that my kids go to Chino right now. So my biggest concern, actually they took my phone outside, besides the fact I want my kid back, both kids, I have a freshman as well, 100% full-time. I really wish there was no debate about it, but this is the case. My problem is I get an email every week from his teachers that he is a 0. He has completed no classes. He's failing, F. This is a straight A to B student normally. His momentum has gone down. He shows me his laptop. All these assignments say turned in, turned in, turned in. But yet the teachers are telling me they have nothing. He hasn't shown up. He hasn't gone online. He's failing this whole year. It's unacceptable. And then when I tell the teachers, their response is, well, then he can return them in and I'll give him another try. He texted me today and said, why even bother anymore, Mom? I don't want to do these assignments 2 or 3 times. This is stupid. I don't want to do this anymore. This is your choice to bring these kids back to school. Full-time, hybrid is a joke. And I'm tired of hearing him upset. My other son, he's doing the packets because he said the computers were not working. That's the only way he could get through school right now, is that he could physically hand things in, which we all know is they're not learning a thing. I mean, my kid has not learned, they haven't learned anything in a year. They don't retain, or should I say that? They don't retain anything. So, that being said, I'd like to bring the Cougar Pride back. I want Chino to be strong again, and I want the fear gone. Put the kids back in school, full time, let them start learning again. Thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'm starting to see no point in doing any of my work if I have to do it over and over again. You guys are failing me for the work I've proven I've done. I'm sick and tired of the way it is. I can't learn.
What's your name?
Evan,
Thank you, Evan.
Thank you.
that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rebecca. Come on up, yep. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. My name's Rebecca Roman. My son is Angelo Lynch. He's in 8th grade at Heritage Middle School. I'm here today to speak on behalf of him because he can't be here. He is generally a solid B student. I wouldn't say stellar, but a solid student, very athletic, plays on all the sports teams, travel ball. He's excited. He's a TA. He's very involved, very social. And in the last month, his attitude has declined unbelievably. He is failing some classes. He has lots of D's and C's. He actually has a C in PE for the first time in 3 years of attending the school. I've gone completely hands-on for the last 2 weeks to try to figure this out. I spend 2+ hours a day interacting with the teachers and him. And it's nearly impossible. We literally can't figure out exactly what the future would mean to be successful. And I just want to let you know that on behalf of the students, they really want to go back to school. They need to go back to school. And they're failing not being in school. And whatever is going on right now just isn't working out. So, thanks for having me, and thank you. you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to agenda, was there any others, Glenn? Thank you. So moving on to agenda number 6. 6A is our superintendent's report. Mr. Shaw?
Yes, I'm going to start with enrollment. As of today, the district is down just under 144 ADM for the, calculated out to the 100th day compared to last year's 100th day. Just as it has been, the decrease is spread somewhat evenly between the schools. I've included the last 2 years of 100th day ADM information for you to take a look at and refer to. And then our 100th day, which is when they stop including membership data for students, is coming up March 2nd. So things will change after March 2nd, but for the most part, the number's going to be solidified at that point. There may be some slight changes just due to corrections and things like that. But our last day for the 100th day is March 2nd. Any questions about enrollment? Kairos transition to United Healthcare. Kairos is our insurance company that provides health insurance. It's also related to our liability and our workers' comp insurance. In the past, they have been with Blue Cross Blue Shield providers, and they use Blue Cross Blue Shield as their claims administrator. They are actually moving to United Healthcare and a United Healthcare network, and the United Healthcare will be the claims administrator. A couple things. They are telling us that there's about a 99% overlap with the providers. So 99% of the providers on Blue Cross Blue Shield are also on United Healthcare. They've also reached out to staff to say, hey, if your provider doesn't accept United Healthcare, let us know and we'll see what we can do. So they are being proactive about doing that, Kairos is, and United Healthcare. The reason for doing this is really a cost containment issue. Blue Cross Blue Shield and their claims administrator was not really questioning any charges. And for example, I think someone had some kind of head laceration that ended up costing like $40,000 and really should not have cost that. That's the kind of example that they're trying to avoid. And so they feel that United Healthcare's claims administrator will help contain some of those expenses. Not necessarily that they're not going to allow for claims, they're just going to control it on the doctor and hospital side a little bit better is what they're hoping to do. Hopefully this will save some money. We should not see any savings this year since it won't start until July 1. And so they're just going to use old claims data to do the new rates, which should come out later this month sometime, and I'll have that information, or should hopefully have it for you in March on what the new increases, and it's going to be an increase for health insurance, will be next month. Any questions on Kairos? Yes?
John, are both Kairos and Blue Cross Blue Shield in-network providers, or are they universal?
So Kairos is the trust that is the insurance company. That's who we pay, and they pay. All they do is they kind of rent out their claims administrator and also the network. And so Blue Cross, we use Blue Cross Blue Shield. We have Kairos Insurance that currently uses Blue Cross Blue Shield providers.
Okay.
We will now be, starting July 1, Kairos Insurance, which is the same insurance company, just using United Healthcare providers.
Yeah, but I guess my question is there a difference in the providers between the two companies? In other words, are they basically the same, or are we losing some of the providers that we would have had under Blue Cross?
They're telling us 99% are the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Now the other big advantage is with Blue Cross Blue Shield, it was out of network when you left the state. With United Healthcare, they have national coverage. So if you are traveling out of state, or if you have a child that is attending school out of state, they'll now be in network when they visit their local doctors instead of being out of network. And that's if you are familiar, that's a whole different situation and much more costly for the policyholder.
So if that occurrence happens out of state, they'll still have to check when they go to a provider that they're in the Kairos network.
In United Healthcare Network,
Not
yes.
Healthcare, yep,
Yep,
okay,
that's exactly right.
great, thank you.
Uh-huh. Any other questions? Director of Businesses Service update. As you know, Rebecca's last day was the 20th. She has been fantastic. She's been helping out. When we talk about the financial statements in just a little bit, she prepared those. She came in last week at night and prepared it. She's helping us out. She's doing a fantastic job. But I want to introduce our new, hopefully new, he's on the personnel report, and you're going to hopefully approve him later this evening. Our new Director of Business Services, his name is John Livingston. And John, he's right here, and his wife Lisa, so welcome. He currently lives in Kanab and is working for Kane County as in their finance department. Has extensive school business official experience, and we are excited to have him. I've spent a couple hours with him this afternoon. I've just spoken to him a couple times on the phone, but I think we're really lucky to find somebody that enjoys being a business manager and is wanting to come on board and excited to be here. So I want to welcome John.
Great.
I don't know, any questions for John while I know Peter talked to him for a little bit, and
Welcome aboard. We're glad to have you.
yes. He's got his computer today. He has some logins today. He'll be working on timesheet until he finishes his position up in Kanab. And if you know of a house for sale, they may be looking. So, let me know and I can forward that information to him. So, welcome aboard, John. Thank you.
Thank you.
Staff members of the month. We have our monthly staff members of the month. We have at Territorial, it was Debbie Highland, it was our teacher, and Irma Durame was our classified person. At Del Rio is Melissa Noden was our teacher, and Crystal Seats is our classified employee. Heritage is Al Parnell for our teacher, and Jacqueline McKnight is classified. At the high school is Joe Rowich, it was our teacher, and Joyce Cooper was our classified employee. And for the district, we had 3, Mary Brown, Rosemary Garcia, and Ashley Benson. They're with Sodexo, and those 3 ladies are really responsible for our community feeding program that's been going on since the summer. So it's those 3 ladies that really, with Sodexo, that we wanted to honor for everything that they're doing with our feeding program. But all of these teachers and staff members are outstanding, and we wanted to recognize them for what they do in the district. Also wanted to give a shout out to JEDS and Donna at JEDS, who provides little goodie bags for each of these employees in honor of them getting their teacher or staff member of the month. So like I said, want to give a shout out to JEDS for everything they do for us. Last thing I have on the board agenda or on the superintendent report is if you are interested, right now you get paper packets. If you are interested in us emailing you a PDF instead of a paper packet, let Karen know. We can also make arrangements for there to be a computer at your desk or at your seat, so that you can pull that up during board meetings. So if you like the paper packet, you're welcome to keep the paper packet. If you'd like to do it electronically, we can make those arrangements as well. So you just need to let Karen know, and we'll work on that. So,
Karen, which is easier for you?
Doesn't matter. Whatever you guys want.
it's really, I'd say it's up to you guys. Some people like switching back and forth rather than scrolling up and down. I know I spoke with you. You like making notes. So it kind of depends on what you prefer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind, guys. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Item 6B1, our financial reports.
It's actually in the book now that our meeting times have changed. So it is in the book under 6B. Again, these were prepared by Rebecca. So I want to thank her for taking care of that. One thing is we have a very low budget balance of less than 1/3%. It's a little lower than it normally is. There's a couple things. We have some items that we still need to move that that aren't under the grant encumbrances, that we still need to move into some ESSER accounts, so that will bump that up. And then you can see we're actually minus 2.78%, but there's a grant expenditure encumbrances that we pull out of that. So we have 45,000. Most of everything that we're gonna do for the rest of the year is already encumbered, so I'm not worried. We'll have plenty of money to get us through the end of the school year, but it's just something that I'll have to work with our new business manager just to make sure we keep an eye on that and transfer some of those expenses related to COVID and other expenses to ESSER to free up some cash for us. Okay? Our capital is holding steady. I'm sorry.
John,
Yes,
sorry.
sir. No, you're fine.
Why haven't we been spending the adjacent ways funds? I've been noticing the balance is huge and it's not run down.
It was much larger. Earlier in the year, we finished a big project, which was the bus lanes behind Del Rio. And so that was something we started in the summer, and when did we end that? That opened up,
Right before school.
Yeah, about the time school was starting, yeah, we
Yeah.
started in like
Because I-
February. Yeah.
right, exactly. So it was much larger.
Even worse, you know.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. So, you can see most of the work done by just driving along 2 North, on the backside of Del Rio. So it's been working out really well, moving the traffic from in front of Del Rio and Heritage to the backside.
Yeah.
So we load kids, they come in off of 2 North and goes around the school and exits out on 1 West. We've looked at other projects. We'd really love to put sidewalks, curbs, and gutters out at Territorial. We're talking millions of dollars to do that because of some flood issues. I'm going to work with our new business manager to see if we actually want to do an assessment, adjacent ways assessment. We can use this money for some resurfacing of some of the existing bus lanes and things like that. But the big job or the big project that we want to do, Cindy's been doing some investigating with the town, and it's not really practical to move forward on that. So we just need to kind of step back, identify a new project, and move forward with it.
Okay. Well, and the reason I asked, John, is because I know every time we have the tax levy hearing, we typically have a project in mind.
Correct.
For that $100,000, and I'm just so surprised to see that something must have happened that they've not happened, and that's why I'm just asking the question, so.
Oh, we spend a lot of money.
I'm glad.
It's just that, and then again, like we were hoping to do, that we could do something out of Territorial, but it's not gonna happen for what we want. So we'll have to evaluate whether we actually do the adjacent ways levy or not this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not complaining that
Oh,
we
I
have
know.
money, but
Yeah.
I just need.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you.
So that kind of talks about the adjacent ways. So, you can see, Peter, that we had 324,000, and then, so we spent about 130,000 so far this fiscal year. So, any questions about the financial reports?
Okay, agenda item 6B2, student activity fund.
Not a whole lot of activity going on. All the accounts are in the positive, which is a good thing. Unfortunately, we just don't have kids on campus to raise and spend money.
Any questions? And before we move on to the next item, I'm going to let Annie get settled. Welcome. All right, item 6C, summer school. Ms. Daniels?
Hi,
Hi.
good evening, everyone. I'm going to go through some things that the leadership team has been visiting about in regard to summer school. Feel free to interrupt me anytime that you want a little bit more information about that line, because I have a little bit of a list of things that I want to cover with you, so don't be afraid to stick your hand up. One of the questions that I think people are probably asking themselves would be, what's our goal for summer school? Like, why would we do summer school? So we have really 2 main goals for summer school. One is that we know this has been a tough year academically for students, and our goal is to support every single student who wants to attend and be able to move forward at their grade level. So for example, it will be the entire month of June. So we're all assuming, of course, that, everything rolls forward health-wise. But our plan is that it would be the entire month of June, that it's completely free. We have enough money in the second round of CARES to provide for more than one summer and to provide tutoring, which we have tutoring available right now from each campus, virtually or in person. So that's something that kids and parents could avail themselves of starting now. But the summer school program would be Monday through Thursday. It would be all day long, but it would be 2 sessions. So an AM session and a PM session. That allows us to have more students attend. And at the high school and middle school level, if students have several things they need to work on, they actually could attend all day. So how it would work is transportation would be provided. We anticipate running more routes than we normally run for summer school. Right now, we run routes north and south and a little bit off the highway, but it would be more extensive than that. Students would have breakfast and/or lunch and a snack, depending if they attended AM, PM, or all day. It would be led by certified teachers, as many as we need. Because we're using the grant funding for this, we have enough money to pay for lots of teachers. And at some point, probably at the March board meeting, we'll be talking to you about the rate of pay for our teachers and our paraprofessionals and summer school administrative staff. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. We have highly qualified paraprofessionals that currently work for us who we would like to have join us for summer school. Some of them typically get other summer jobs, so this is a way for them to work during June. And those salary incentives would be more than we typically pay staff to work on, like during summer school and that kind of thing. And we feel that this would end up being necessary because people do sometimes can accept jobs that last all summer, and this would just be for the month. We also would have summer school administration that's not our typical admin at each campus. And the reason for that is our administrators have regular things to do during the summer. Busy things that usually summer is a very busy time in the school district. And so what we're looking for and hoping for are maybe some of that teaching staff who are working on their admin credentials or have already completed their admin credentials. Give them a little bit of on-the-job experience as well. At the high school, we primarily will be focusing on credit recovery. I was really glad Ms. D'Angelo called me last week to talk about some of the things she came this evening to visit with you about. I was glad that she brought some hard numbers for us because you could see that we do have a need for credit recovery for some of our students. It is, and Ms. Wolf will talk about this in a little bit, she has a plan to help ensure that our seniors can graduate on time throughout this pandemic and what we've experienced. But we will primarily focus on credit recovery at the high school. One thing that's a little different than normal is that all 4 core classes will be offered. So a lot of times we have like English and math. Those tend to be the classes that students have struggled in the most during the year. Sometimes we have students who want to get ahead. They would be able to come and do that as well. So we have that. At the middle school, our program will be designed to ensure that students can move ahead to the next grade so that they've got the skills that they need and they are ready to tackle the next grade. Reading and math remediation will be our primary focus for kindergarten through 5th grade, really solidifying, building up those basic skills. We are working on designing a specialty language learning program for our English language learners. One thing that we've talked about throughout since school started, all the fall and into the winter a bit, and for Mr. Atona and Mr. Fogel, who weren't here in those days during the fall, one of the things that we had noted is that we had a disproportionate number of our Spanish speakers choose to keep their students at home, even when we were hybrid or fully in person. So we did have a Spanish speaker call every single one of our Spanish-speaking families to ascertain why that may be. Uniquely, the answer was they let the kids decide. And so we have found that for many of our kids that come from Spanish-speaking households, quite a few of them have spoken little or no English for 12 months almost. So we feel like putting some extra effort into that language program this summer will be really vital to their success upon returning to school next fall. Something else that I want to talk about would be our special education students. Throughout COVID, our self-contained students have been able to attend. So our extended resource, our EDP, and our center students have attended. So, and they are progressing as they normally would. And so our special education students who are resource students would be our focus during summer, because the other students have had therapies and everything they need during the school year. We will be offering enrichment for students who are at level. So sometimes in the summer it's been a long time since the district has had a K-12 summer program, because most of the interest is at the high school level, some at the middle school level, not usually very much at the elementary level. But for students who are at grade level, we've had some students who've done extremely well during the course of this year. We'll be offering some enrichment opportunities for them on each campus. And for sometimes for high school kids, that means that they want to work ahead, or take a language class through Edgenuity that we don't offer, German or French or Mandarin Chinese, something like that. And then the Chino Valley Education Foundation had a board meeting last Wednesday morning, and the foundation voted to provide incentives to have students attend summer school. So they will, at the April meeting, take a recommendation for exactly what those incentives should look like, but I'm envisioning things like gift card drawings for all the kids who had perfect attendance during the week at each campus, so opportunities to do some things like that for incentives to attend. So that's I would say is the backbone of the summer program that we're currently working on, and I'd be happy to answer questions that you have.
Cindy, sounds spectacular, but I guess my question is, particularly for ELO kids and the kids that are struggling, is 4 weeks enough? Could you do, would 6 weeks be better?
It's a difficult question because we have two things to consider. One is, will parents send their students for that many days during the summer? That was an issue with K-5, is that parents wanted their children to have an opportunity to have that, what I would call traditional summer vacation. The other thing is that our staff needs a bit of a rest. And we begin professional development for fall the second week of July. So if we had a summer school that lasted into July, that means our staff would roll right from doing their summer school job into professional development and returning to work without a chance to have some time off. So that's something that we can work to ascertain both from staff, like would we have enough staff if we did something like that, and something that we could ascertain from parental interest. And I know the schools will be working to gather information. In fact, we anticipate rolling out enrollment forms for summer school immediately after spring break. So we'll know by the end of March.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mike?
What are the anticipated numbers, or how are you ascertaining that at this point?
Until we do the enrollment phase, it's going to be really hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
I know we have some parents who really, really want their kids to be able to gain some ground compared to what they feel like they've lost during the school year. But it's very hard to judge. We had people people hold fast to school year traditions, things like snow days and holidays and things like that. And so it's hard to know.
Do we have a handle at all on our grade level rates at this point in time? Who is maintaining grade level, and will we have a good hard number of that, for that by June?
So there are two things that I can answer about that. Do we have some numbers? Yes. But many of the assessments that we give are computer-based assessments that we can't give unless students are here. And so our K-5 people have had trouble giving the Dibbles literacy assessment. They're doing the best they can, but it's really hard even during hybrid because they get part of the kids one day, a different part a different day. And then the middle school and high school can't run their benchmarking assessments distance. They have to be done in person. So the sooner that we return to school fully in person, the better we'll have a handle on that. Our other data is what I would call softer data. And that softer data is based on pre and post tests that the teachers have given at the classroom level. That is provided that students are attending their Google Classrooms and completing the work. So we have some, it's not as in-depth or as thorough as we typically would have at this time of year, but we anticipate having that kind of information. You heard from Ms. D'Angelo, for example, about how the students are progressing. I know the middle school also has similar data about how they're progressing as far as completing their coursework. Completing coursework doesn't always mean you've mastered the content though. So sooner we're back, the sooner we can have that. And like one of the things that we do as far as like the tutoring that we're doing right now online and in person, those are all phone calls and personal invites. And that's the same thing that we do. Our homeless student population, I checked with Mrs. Barley last week and had her do some reports for me. We have 328 homeless students in the district right now. She talks to every single parent on a regular basis, encouraging them, get your kids to school, how are they doing on their Google Classrooms and those kinds of things. And then I looked today at the average grades for every single one of our homeless students and have a pretty good handle on how many are even doing work right now or not. So, and I would say we've probably got about 20 to 25% that are significantly below where they could be just from our homeless population.
Any other questions? Okay, this was just a discussion item, so thank you.
We also call all our EL kids in Spanish. Miss Rosa Maria, our EL coordinator, she's hot on that phone every day. So,
Good, thank you.
you're
We
welcome.
look forward to next month to hear more about it. Agenda item 7A through E, our consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve our consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 8A, day porter position request.
So the day porters, we have one at each school. They do things like open up the school, take care of messes that happen during the day, whatever those messes happen to be, unplug toilets, things like that, do some cleaning. Well, we have one right now that's a substitute that we've added that we'd like to make permanent. His entire job is to go around and fog the schools with a disinfecting fog. And while we're in COVID, we would like to keep that, and possibly longer. We've had almost 0 cases of the flu, and I think there's multiple reasons for that, including the hand washing and the mask wearing and the sanitizing that we're doing. We won't be doing all those things necessarily, like hopefully mask washing or wearing later, but we believe that the sanitation, the increased sanitation is helping keep our kids and our staff members healthier, and it's something that we'd like to bring on using ESSER money. And so this would be about $45,000 a year. That includes his health insurance and other benefits, and the salary. And then they would go with ESSER 2, and ESSER 2 is new money that's coming in, and that actually can be expended through September of 2023. And so it would last us 2.5 years that we could use, and we could also include expenses all the way back to March of last year. And so ESSER 1 goes back through March of last year and has to be expended through the end of December of this year. So we'll make sure that that gets spent down, and then ESSER 2 can kick in or pick up some, and that goes through the September of 2023. So Cindy mentioned earlier about having multiple years of money for summer school. That's why that ESSER 2 goes through 2023, or through September 2023. So this position would strictly be to sanitize schools, including over the summer where we can get that deep cleaning in.
Any other questions? This is an action item. Do you have a motion to approve?
I move to approve item number 8A.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic, thank you. Personnel report.
There is a supplement, so please refer to the supplement as well. Between the two, we have 6 new classified, 1 new certified, 1 classified substitute. We are starting to get into the season of people letting us know they're not going to come back next year, so we have 8 resignations. Not all of those are end of year, but some of them are. We have 2 teachers retiring again, season of letting us know that they won't be coming back. 9 classified changes, 2 extra duties, and then we got the spring coaches that we are assigning, and so we have 13 coaching positions included.
I was reading over this, and I'm sad to see some of the teachers that have resigned. 3, the 8, 9, and 10. Gosh, those are some really great teachers. Some of them that have had all of my kids so far, so that's a bummer.
We have, and we have, in some cases, they want to come back. It could be for, I think one's having a baby and things like that.
Yeah.
Some it's just retiring. And that's good. We're gonna see some teachers that have been with us for quite a while leaving the district, we think. So, yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Great, this is an action item. If we could have a motion to approve tonight's personnel report and supplement.
I move that we accept the personnel report as stated.
Thank you, and supplement? And supplement, please.
And supplement.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 9A, the CVHS course description. Looks like it's going to be a tag team.
Yes, it is. Just in case one of us forgets. All righty. So we're going to go over the course description. I promise I'll be quick. If you see it in red, we're removing it. If it's in yellow, we're adding it. I'm just going to go over the significant changes. Most of the stuff is just little A's and the and little stuff. So if you go to page 22, on page 22 is the CTE courses. We've made quite a few changes, and it's mostly to the names. So some of the names have changed. So you'll see the red, we're going to remove it. The yellow, we're introducing a new name. And so the ag names got changed. One of the classes that got added or changed is the agricultural mechanics and fabrication. That's going away. It's going to be agricultural mechanics AGS, which aligns with Yavapai College.
And also, just so that you know, we've changed our second year, we used to be ABS 2 or applied, we've changed that to Introduction to Animal Industry, and we're excited about that because we think that more kids will be interested knowing that that's the focus of the second year.
The next one is draft and design. It's going to be called architectural drafting and design. It's going to be under that. And and that was page 26. And if you go to page 27, our network technologies is going to be cybersecurity. So we have cybersecurity year 1 instead of it being called the Yavapai College class. It's going to be Yavapai College.
Yeah, I had a question
Sure.
on that. And I was a little confused because cybersecurity and networking are totally different things. Are we shifting the focus of the content of these courses? Or is this just another name for what we've been doing all along?
Well, no, it got added this past year, cybersecurity.
It's basically for the second year. The first year is dealing with the networking and a little bit of cybersecurity. And then the second semester, they'll do the computer technician certification, the A+ that they've done in the past. But what we're looking at is adding in the cybersecurity to the second semester of the second year.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but not that the first year will still be networking, basically.
Yeah, there'll be a little bit of cybersecurity within that, but it'll be mostly focused on networking and that computer technician.
Okay. Well, that's where I got confused,
Yeah.
because to me, the way it read, we're substituting cybersecurity for the networking content.
It's just
I
that
think it's the name of what Yavapai
College.
is using.
We're just aligning ourselves with Yavapai College.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the content is still a sequencing
Yes.
Mhm.
from networking up into cybersecurity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the 110 that's been ours all along. What changed was the 101 and 135.
Good.
So,
Thank you.
okay. The next page, 28, is the welding technologies. And so that's something we've added to our school. It was part of Mountain Institute, but now it's part of Chino Valley High School. But it's still under CTEC. Did you want to?
Nope.
Okay. And the last page is page 32. That we are changing the horticulture production greenhouse. It's, I think we just added the name to agricultural mechanics and introduction to animal industry, which is still, again, part of our ag program.
And so what's happened with that, because they're both, one is AGS 215, the ag mechanics. We had it last year, but we were able to get one of our teachers certified to get the Yavapai College credit. So we had ag mechanics in the past, last year, or this year. But what's happening is now we're able to have a dual enrollment credit for that. And the same thing, we went ahead and changed that second year to AGS 120, which is Introduction to Animal Industry. And again, we have the teachers that have the right certification to teach that.
It's a dual enrollment.
Yeah.
So that is it for the course description.
Okay. Did you want us to talk about the past?
Yeah, as part of the, adding the PASS program,
Okay.
Did
please.
they need to vote on this first, or no? Okay. So, I wanted to briefly discuss what we're doing with our seniors. I want to share what the high school is proposing for our failing seniors. The counselors met with administration last week to come up with a plan for our seniors that have failed classes last semester. We have about 30 seniors out of 134 that are not on track to graduate. We had only like 5, but now we're up there. So the proposal is for this, that the seniors must attend the school on March 6th and 7th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's a Friday and Saturday. And what they will do is they will do packets. So this work is based on students, it depends on how they failed, okay? So if a student failed like 20% or less, they'll get 3 packets. If they fell around 21 to 40%, then they get 2 packets. If they fail 41 to 60%, then they get 1 packet.
And that's about 20%. So we're trying to get them up to where they get 60%. That is passing, and so they can get credit.
Okay, so a student won't get an actual grade like A, B, C, D, or F. Well, F is F. They'll get a P for pass. So they will get a passing grade that way and not an actual letter grade, because this isn't about them getting a letter grade or trying to get a better grade. It's just about getting them to pass. Heidi has spoken with the senior teachers. She's been working with them to create those packets. We will have teachers on both of those days, and especially like a math and English teacher to help the students with those packets. We're also gonna provide breakfast and lunch and snacks. We have culinary working on snacks, because let's face it, food brings people in. So, we're excited for these seniors. We came up with an acronym, which I'm very proud of. It's PASS, P-A-S-S, and it stands for Promoting At-Risk Senior Success. So, we're really excited about this. We started this last week. We're calling parents starting tomorrow. We're gonna get them in there.
I appreciate this so much. I think, you guys, thank you so much. I think that it's a really great idea. I think it's really important that we get these kids to pass
yeah.
and graduate.
And we wanted to give the kids enough time who have jobs to ask for those days off. And that's Friday and Saturday. We really need them to get there. If it's important for them to graduate, and we feel also it'll give them momentum for this semester, because if they feel like I didn't pass last semester, first semester this year, then I'm not gonna make it. So we feel like this is an incentive to hopefully get them to get to work on this semester if they're behind.
Yeah.
And, you know, some kids have one class, some have two, some have three, some have four.
That was gonna be my question.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the packets 3, 2, and 1 is kind of dependent on where they are as far
Yes.
as
Well,
finding
they
classes?
failed the
Yeah.
class,
Like
the
we
actual
have-
class.
We know their percentage, and their teachers, that's why we talk to the senior teachers, know what they missed, can look back and see what they missed, and kind of come up with assignments that will incorporate the standards and make sure that they get the information they need and have that practice.
And those students that are at that 20% or less in all classes, hopefully not, but I'm sure
Yeah,
there's
well, you know,
a few.
I'll be honest with you, I created a spreadsheet and I gave it to Heidi. We don't have anybody that, I can't think of anybody that has like 4 classes at 20%.
Okay, good.
They might
I was
have
gonna ask
one
what
and
they
still failed another class, but I can
Yeah.
tell you.
And we
I
have
was
kids-
just gonna ask, do you really think they would be able
Yeah,
to make
and
it up
we
in
have
those
it all
2 days?
broken down, so
Okay.
we're pretty clear on who those kids are. And we're also gonna, both counselors, me and Ms. McIntyre will both be there. We wanna counsel the kids as they leave, because we're also concerned about this semester. So we wanna make sure that we help them out.
And if it's an elective class that we will looking at, there's some test outs that we can do for elective courses.
Great.
And we really appreciate the hard work that Ms. D'Angelo and Ms. McIntyre are doing to make sure that these kids come in.
Of course.
All right, thank you.
Any other further questions or comments?
Just a quick comment from me if possible.
Yes,
I
please.
appreciate the work that they've done. We are using existing procedures to do this. It's something that we do with just a grade change and things like that. So it doesn't need to be, the past program is not what you're approving, it's just the course
Correct.
catalogs what you're approving. That was just a kind of addition
Yeah.
as a part
While
of
we
that.
had them there, we were getting the info.
And
Right.
And we have teachers have been working with the seniors this last month and saying, come in, work with me,
Right.
let's get you up to where we can get you a passing grade, and then they do a grade change form.
Right.
So this is within that same realm.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Schill, for
Yep.
that.
Great, thank you.
Thank
So
you.
then our agenda item is to
Thank you.
approve the CVHS 2021-22 course description. And do we have a motion for that, please?
I will so move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome, thank you. Item 9B is our results-based funding plan. Ms. Reeder?
We are always grateful to have more money to spend, and so, like in the years past, we have used this for staff. We've reduced class sizes and used it for staff. We used it for staff stipends, for results-based goals. We've used it for after-school tutoring. We've used it for summer schools, and we've used it for computer carts, some capital need items, and some curriculum that we've purchased. So that's what we want to propose that we'll do with this money for next year as well.
Great. Any questions or comments?
Awesome that this happened again.
Right.
Yeah.
This
Always
is
so
the
proud.
third year in a row, is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
That's great.
Fantastic. Well, again, it is an action item, and we will need a motion to approve.
I'll make a
Item 9B.
motion. I'll make a motion to approve the 2021 Del Rio School Results-Based Funding Plan.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 9C, the revision of the 2021-2022 academic calendar, Mr. Schultz.
So this is not the current calendar that we're in, this is the calendar that starts July 1. There must have been a couple dozen ayes, including yours, because it was approved, or some of yours, on the calendar. And our normal school year on a 40 week is 144 days. The calendar approved had 145 days. I sent off the approved calendar to Kelly Burns, the lead administrator for Aspire, who is a partner of ours that we send some kids to. She noticed it, so I want to give them some props. All we did was move up the end of the school year 1 day, so that actually it's somewhat beneficial. We have graduation on Wednesday. Our last day of school was supposed to be Wednesday. It's now on Tuesday. So we can focus on graduation, and the teachers can focus on graduation without having to work all day, then having graduation and things like that. The other impact was at the high school. Typically, they have 3 days of final exams, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they were fine and figured that they can get in their final exams just on Monday and Tuesday. So the extent of it is, we go from 145 to 144 like it's supposed to be.
We're supposed to, okay. Do we have a motion to approve item 9C?
I'll make a motion to approve the revised 21-22 academic calendar.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And item 9D, COVID instruction model. Mr.
I shared with you a couple handouts. One is a summary, you've seen this before. It's the one with the green, yellow, and red. And this is a summary of the current benchmarks that came out on Thursday. The numbers that don't have a color associated with them are the anticipated numbers for next week. So January 24th, and for the benchmark cases, the data is in the raw data, and it just hasn't been published because the benchmarks are a couple weeks behind when they're published. So the last benchmarks were for January 17th. Starting January 24th, you can see that both the cases and the percent positivity are going down significantly, which is a good thing. The last published ones haven't been that low since before Thanksgiving. The next ones were probably not that low since the beginning of November. There's no way for me to estimate what the COVID-like illnesses or hospitalizations is. That's just something that we have to wait for Thursday. That raw data isn't available to me. So we have been decreasing since the end of December, beginning of January. The cases and percent positivity along with hospitalizations have all decreased significantly. So things are getting better. The next one I want to share with you is the summary of the data that looks like this. This is, if you ever go to the Yavapai County Health Department website, or Department of Health Services, they have a blue screen. I look at it every day, and this is the results of that data. Couple positive things is if you look at the Quad Cities data, you can see that on January 11th, that week, we had 4 days of the 5, because they don't report on Saturday and Sunday. 4 days of the 5, all in triple digits, and one almost at 98. This past week, we had 5 days of less than 50 cases in the Quad City area. So that includes Mayor, Dewey, Prescott Valley, Prescott, Chino Valley, Paulden. That's the areas that I select. And Humboldt's in there. So you can see, according to the county health department, the numbers are decreasing significantly as well. I do want to point out, even going down on the state benchmarks, which these are numbers that the state put together based on science, these numbers are still considered in the substantial risk range, according to the state. The other thing I want to mention is someone mentioned, one of the parents mentioned that about the CDC, there wasn't a CDC report. The CDC is supposed to come out with some guidance this week. There was some CDC scientists that put out some information in an article that I shared with you last week that said that the headline was, kids can go back to school safely. What was not in the headline was, what are the conditions that need to be met in order for kids to go back to school safely? There's really 4 things. One is masks, which we do. One is sanitation, which we do. One is social distancing, which we cannot do social distancing when all the kids are back in school, 100%. It's much easier to do social distancing when we have a hybrid schedule. And the 4th one is that the community is doing all those things as well. And I'll let you decide on, that's something that you need to decide if the community is using masks, social distancing, and things like that. Those were the 4 qualifiers that needed to be taking place in order for kids, according to this article and according to the CDC scientists, where kids could go back into school safely. It's difficult. I've been in classrooms when we were all in person in October and part of November. There is no social distancing when we're all in school, in the classrooms. It's just impossible. So, questions about those? I brought up 3 things, the 2 sets of data along with the article. Any questions or comments so far?
Well, I just have a comment about the social distancing. I mean, I went out to dinner last week and there was a group of junior and senior in high school. They're watching football and there's like 12 of them watching football at a restaurant. So keeping them, they're not social distancing now. I'm just going to tell you that. But I think that we should get our kids back in school. Are we voting on this?
I'm going to have a recommendation in just a second.
Oh, I just didn't know
Yeah.
what the plan was, so.
Go ahead.
No.
Continue on,
Well-
or are there more questions right now? Because there's going to be much discussion, I'm sure,
Oh,
here
yeah.
soon.
So based on the information that we have, based on the benchmarks, the recommendation, there's a couple recommendations. One is from the district nurse, based on a strictly not any discussion or consideration for anything else other than health. The district nurse says that the best plan right now, or her recommendation, is for a hybrid instruction. After a discussing this in our district leadership team meeting last Tuesday, the recommendation from administration is pre-K-12 hybrid instruction. I agree with I agree with what Ms. D'Angelo said. I agree mostly with what the parents are saying. We do need kids back in school. When we were at these numbers in November, my concern at that time was, are we going to have the staff to actually supervise kids safely? That was a concern. I don't want to get into, and what I'm seeing in some businesses in the community, there's a restaurant in Prescott that is closed. They were open, they've been closed, they've been open, they've been closed because of COVID issues in their staff. It's easier to do that back and forth when you're a business, not when you're dealing with 2,400 kids, 300 employees, and families that are looking for consistency. Going back and forth, I think, is not a good thing, and I'm afraid that if we go too far, that we may have to back up before things, before we finish the year. My goal is to get kids back in school at some point. I'm hoping that things are 100% back in school. I'm hoping that by the next board meeting, we'll have some additional information. We'll have the CDC guidance that's coming out this week. In addition, we'll have some more data and making sure that those numbers continue to go down.
I've always been a firm believer, and again, if you know my background in rodeo in the Western industry, I've always been a firm believer that you ride for your brand. And since I have been a part of Chino Valley School District, I've always pushed Chino. If you're a teacher here, I think your kids need to go here. If you're a district employee, I think your children should be involved in this district. I've kept my children in this district. As of tomorrow, my junior will be transferred out of this district. I have to do what is best for him, and this is no longer the scenario for him. I am keeping my younger ones here, but as of right now, tomorrow my junior gets transferred. I am doing what is best for what is best for my child. I hate to see other people take their kids out of our district. There are these huge schools in Phoenix that are sending their kids to school that have 3 times as many kids that we have. Education is the most important thing. I had a parent tell me the other day that her 13-year-old son told her, "Mom, I have not learned anything this year." We are failing our children. Our teachers have the opportunity to get the shot right now. If they choose to get the shot, that's them. If they don't, that's on them too. I work for a doctor's office. I wasn't raised in a way, my parents didn't want me to get the shot. That's a whole nother thing. I had 2 super bad reactions. I just got my second one the other day. I'm doing what I can, and doing my part. I expect other people to do it too. To me, teachers are essential. We are failing our kids. They are not learning. They need to be in school full time. And even though my son is being transferred out of this district tomorrow, which kills me, because he's been in here since he was in kindergarten. My oldest graduated from Chino Valley High School. This is not a fun thing for me. But like I said, I have to do what's best for him. We need to have these kids in school.
Peter, please.
I have a couple comments I want to make, but John, do you have the final numbers of our staff that got the vaccine during our first run?
So between the number of students, or staff members that received shots, along with those that have had COVID, that were not eligible, but there's some, they have the antibodies to help protect them for at least a limited amount of time. We have about 60% of our staff members in those 2 groups.
Just thinking out loud, I think we've all read Dr. Fauci's recommendations. The one that I sent to John, basically he was saying K through 8 he is recommending in-person learning with the caveats that John has mentioned. The more I think about it, we've had the peaks, and we're now going on the downhill side. Personally, as our vaccines continue to ramp up, I think that this peak, I've got my fingers crossed as all of us, will continue to go down as we build towards herd immunity. So that's one consideration. 2, everything I've read is say the youngest of our kids have the least risk of catching the virus. I'll just say K through 8 are least risk. I know this board in the past has been concerned about the staff because they're the most vulnerable population. But I'm glad to hear that we've now got at least 60% of the staff. I'm disappointed it wasn't 100%, but at least we have 60% of our staff, has gotten their first vaccine shot, and I presume that second 60% or 40% plus the ones that have had it, or 50% plus the ones that have had it, will get the second shot. So the more I think about it, the more I'm leaning to asking if we could consider doing the K through 8 back in person and going with the blended model for the high school, opening up for the blended model for the high school. Maybe I'm too optimistic, but the signs that I'm seeing are saying that we are finally past the worst of it. It's not going to be out of here for a long time. But one, I think elementary kids need the in-person learning more than any of our kids. 2, our staff is, to a good degree, getting the vaccine, which is where my real concern is. And 3, even some of the national experts are now saying it's time to rethink opening up K through 8. So just thoughts on my part.
Kenny?
So Peter, I'm really interested in what you're saying. Why not high school?
If you remember from our discussion last month, the exposure of the teachers to all the high school kids is far greater than it is in the elementary school, where basically one teacher is only exposed to their 20 or 30 kids. So I think that the danger to the kids is greater. The ability to do social distancing, I'm going to guess, and maybe we need to hear, but I think it may be more difficult at the high school level than it is to enforce it or oversee it than it is at the elementary levels. So that's my number two concern. And three, I guess I would feel a little more comfortable once all the numbers that John has showed us are one tier lower than they are now. I mean, all the other things I was saying are perfectly valid. It's just that the infection rate is lower with younger kids, and the exposure is greater with the older kids.
Do you have any additional comments?
I do.
Have a comment.
Do you want to comment? Go ahead.
Comment, yeah. I think we should really think about opening up all the schools to in-person with the option to do hybrid if the parents choose. I think it's the parents' choice.
I agree. I'm with you on the parents.
I do, because I don't want to be that school that, I mean, these kids are suffering.
Oh, yeah.
And we're hearing more and more about depression and suicide, and I just don't want that on my head.
Can I make a comment real quick?
Yep.
I don't know if it's possible to do both all in and hybrid at the same time. It's the same teachers teaching that, and if you want to continue a lesson over 4 days, those kids that are hybrid only get 2 days of that same lesson versus those that are all in person.
The only
So,
reason I said that was because of the problem with social distancing at the high school level that you pointed out.
right,
But they
'Cause
would
I don't
still
know.
have options of online.
That's true, oh, okay.
correct.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
I
And
think-
then
I
that's
think
what I
that-
say, yeah.
I think that we give, I mean, I agree with you, Penny. Our kids are suffering. And I read an article the other day about younger children even being depressed, that they didn't even realize that they were depressed, because they obviously don't know, because they haven't dealt with it. I think we open up the schools and give parents the option of whether or not they want to send their kids to school or not.
Mike, may we hear your opinion, please?
So one of the perspectives, and I'm not disagreeing with anything that's been said so far, but one of the perspectives that hasn't been brought to the room anywhere that I can tell is that 75% of all school districts in the state of Arizona are doing something other than in person. So this notion that our kids are the only ones that are suffering is erroneous. Okay, that we're the only school and that. Yes, we want to be proud of our school and bring back Cougar pride and everyone to have that. The vast majority of people in the state of Arizona are all experiencing that same thing. It's just not us. So I just wanted to add that to what we're talking about. I also think, Peter, that the way in which the various levels of schools function, middle school and high school is most similar. It's very difficult to cohort 8th graders, 7th graders, 6th graders, because they are also moving from math teacher to social studies teacher to et cetera. It's much like high school. So I'm not sure that, I just question whether or not your structure of your thought of K-8 is appropriate. So at any rate, that's.
Well, and Mike, to be honest with you, part of the reason I was suggesting all the way up to the 8th grade was that was in Dr. Fauci's recommendation, going K-8 in-person learning. Now, you're absolutely correct. You know, the middle schools have, very similar structure, but again, we're going all the way down to 5th grade. it's a policy decision. I'm not gonna argue with you at all.
Yeah.
If we decide to go everybody open, all right, if we decide K-8 open, the rest of the blend, you know, either one, I think we need to change from where we are right now. I think it's time.
So before we have much more discussion, I also have some thoughts. Mine are more personal rather than policy or statistics or anything else. And because I can be emotional, I wrote mine out. In the past 6 months, we have been accused of not caring, not putting students first, that we are out of touch, and that we should be ashamed of ourselves. I can only speak for myself when I say that the past few months have been the most difficult of my life. And that includes agonizing over decision-making for my own children, struggling as young married persons and now as old married people, trying to juggle a family and school and successfully running 5 departments at work. I have lost sleep, I have cried, and I too have been sad, lonely, and depressed. I do not say any of this to try and get sympathy. I say this to show that the decisions made here on this dais are not made on a whim or taken lightly at all. My heart is breaking. Whether you believe it or not, we care 100% for our students and our teachers and staff. Otherwise, seriously, we'd be doing something else. I don't know how I will vote if a vote is put before us tonight. Both my heart and mind are torn into 2 pieces. As a parent of a sophomore myself, I feel for the parents. As a working professional, I feel for all the teachers and staff. And as a community member, I feel it is time to come together and stop the blaming and finger pointing and start the healing, no matter the outcome of our decisions tonight. With that, I think we need some solid motions or some more discussion as to what those solid motions will be.
With that said, I just want to let you know, I don't feel like we're the only school, our children aren't the only ones suffering. I don't know where that came from, but I wasn't saying that our children were the only ones suffering. The whole United States, everybody is suffering. And I don't want you to think that, I was just saying that our children are suffering. I totally love that you just wrote that note. I have gotten hate emails, I've gotten nice emails, this has just brought out a whole different thing. People need to realize us sitting up here, we volunteer our time. And this has not been the funnest thing that I've ever been involved in, and we've been dealt a pretty tough card. I mean, anybody that is on a school board, I think right now has been dealt a tough card. But our main focus is education, and our main focus is our children. And I would like to make a motion that we put our children back in school, and we give parents the option if they'd like to keep their children at home.
Back in school full-time or hybrid?
Full-time.
In person, full-time.
In person, full-time. Give parents the option. If parents don't want to send their children, leave that up to the parents, but give these kids the opportunity to be in school.
Can I make a quick comment? Any motion that's made, if we could put a date on that, so that this is not something, no matter what changes, we can't do this tomorrow.
Right.
So if we could get a date out there, we have, Monday's a holiday of next week.
Okay.
Give us some scenarios, John. What
So the
are some
16th, I think,
dates
is what we're thinking.
16th.
For hybrid or in person or online.
Whatever the change is,
And
no
teachers
earlier
can
than the
do that no
16th.
matter what decision we make tonight.
Right, no earlier than the 16th would be good.
Okay, so there is a motion on the floor.
I'll second that motion.
So if I made the motion, I would make it that on February 16th, Chino Valley Unified School District would go back into in-person instruction and give the parents the option of whether or not they'd like to send their children to school or not.
Andy, could you say K-12, just so it's very clear?
Sure.
Pre-K-12.
Pre-K.
Pre-K.
They're already
Yeah.
in, but, you know.
Pre-K-12,
Yeah.
in-person instruction.
I'd like a roll call for the vote this evening,
Okay.
please. So
So I'll
Annie
go
is
ahead
an
and say
aye.
it. All right, I'm gonna say that on February 16th, Chino Valley Unified School District would go back to in-person instruction, pre-K through 12, giving the parents the option to keep their children at home or not. Motion is on the floor.
Okay. Peter?
On-
Okay, yes.
Yes.
Annie?
Yes.
Mike?
Aye.
Motion passes. Good night. It's been a long
Yeah.
night.
That's it?
That's it.
Good night.